Hi, and welcome to a Capital Connections podcast. Today I have with me the founder and CEO of Ansarada, Mr. Sam Riley. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, mate, you're fresh off the back of some big news over the last couple of weeks. Tell us about that news.
Okay, well, we're a listed company, so we put out an announcement that we've entered into a scheme to sell our deals and procure business for $236 million. We started our company in 2005. We built it up. We've done a lot of various capital raising and other activities, but listed about 3 years ago and continued building the business, but ultimately sold a large part of it. But as part of the deal, we're carving out some of the emerging newer products that we've been working on around risk, compliance and sustainability and ESG. So they're getting carved out separately, and I'll be running them and having 100% ownership and growing them.
Fantastic. So obviously that's a passion area for you. Now, just start back. What I find really interesting about Ansarada is, and I've mentioned this probably 3 times over the last couple of days, Ansarada is an Australian tech success story that no one talks about as an Australian tech success story. Why is that?
I think a lot of our business is B2B, and we deal in capital markets and mergers and acquisitions, and a lot of our customers are like law firms, accounting firms, banks. So the general public, it's not like a B2C business. Yeah. If you work in that world, like, people do know us really well.
Everyone knows Ansarada. Anyone that's been involved in any type of transaction knows Ansarada.
Yes, but as far as the broader public and investment market, they don't. So it's also what we do. Although we transformed over the years with more recurring revenue, I think investors want to have that cookie cutter subscription-based SaaS revenue. And although we've been a SaaS technology company since startup, the nature of deals is they're very transactional. Yeah. So you're not building ARR like you are with HR software or CRM software. So that's another reason why I think it's hard. It requires more work for an investor to understand your business model compared to like a Xero or something else. So if you put our business model plus we're B2B niche, maybe that's why. But
So, mate, so there's a couple of things about you. I go on the personal side. I've mentioned it several times now. You've been a great mentor to me over the years. I remember when we launched Chris, which we're rebranded Capital HQ. I remember you had team members telling you, "Hey, they're a competitor," and all. It's like you're like, no, that's not. And then it said, then you've been a great mentor for me through so many different areas of my business. For you, when you're thinking about the future of business, what goes through your head? Because I know you're very thoughtful. You think about things a lot. How do you see, like, if you think about Sam Riley, the ESG product sort of going forward, or the impact product going forward, how do you see that being different to what you've done previously? And what do you see as the structure of sort of businesses in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think living in the world of deals, you get exposed and passionate about what makes a good deal successful. And because we were dealing with the information that goes into due diligence and preparing that and getting it acted on, you end up seeing a lot of successes, but you see a lot of failures in capital raising or frustrations or people that don't realise the value of their business. And we had a lens on that from what are you missing in your information structure or the way that you've been running your business previously, because all of that culminates in an outcome, and we were just dealing with the outcomes. So I think we started developing a passion to say, well, a lot of this comes back to compliance, and not so much compliance, but risk management and like the structure of how you run the business and roles and responsibilities and policies and process. And of course, when you're a startup, you don't really care about that, and you probably shouldn't, because you're trying to get product market fit. But as the years went on, and I saw what was happening with sustainability and how is your business impacting the world, and what are you going to do about it? How do you manage it? And then also, like, hey, the world has a lot of impacts that are happening that could affect you and your business model. So kind of when you consider both of those things, it's like, what is a priority for your business to actually act on? And doing that makes you more sustainable and you address the most critical priorities. But it's also the things that all of your stakeholders, investors, customers, suppliers care about. So then if you do those things really well, you end up being able to talk about them with confidence and credibility, and you lead to more, customers being attracted to buy your product or service. Employees want to work for you because you walk the talk. And simultaneously, when you go to raise capital or when you sell in M&A, you're going to be able to really exhibit best practice around how you run your business. And going on that journey actually develops a lot of disciplines that are very good culturally to grow a successful business. Because you've got to be able to diagnose what's important and what's not. So the strategic thinking and application there. Then you're setting targets to achieve in the future, and you're measuring current state, and as you execute, you're continually reporting. And then you're putting in place governance, which is like accountabilities and roles and policy and process. And then obviously you're developing greater ability to manage risk as you go. So yes, that's applied to the world of sustainability, but those 4 skills around strategy, metrics, governance, and risk management, they actually strengthen your whole company and increase its value.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, and it just seemed obvious to me, and I think in the future, sustainability or ESG is just a naming convention for sustainable business.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a tick box exercise. It's really, we're seeing it in deals already where people do financial due diligence, HR, operational, but increasingly they're wanting to do sustainability due diligence.
Interesting. I suppose that's why you wanted it as part of the carve out in the deal. Yeah. The second part to that question, which I can't stop thinking about, and if I think about me knowing you, you're one of the first people that invested a significant amount of money into AI early on to understand what is the difference between deals which actually go ahead and what they don't, to help your clients understand what the profile of a successful bid is going to look like. So now that AI has taken on a whole new wave, what do you see the future company, the future startup, the future business the future growth business? How do you actually see that with the combination of AI and also the software solutions that are available to companies?
Yeah, I think if you were starting a company, like I always use this analogy, when anytime a new technology comes around, the first thing people do is they don't redesign their whole business. They just apply the technology sporadically where it's obvious. So, back in the day when factories were all powered by diesel generator outside the factory, and there was one drive shaft through the factory, and all the machines would have belts off this central drive shaft, but it was obviously constrictive and made them have to design around those constraints. And then electricity came in, and the first thing that happened was everyone said, actually electrical motors are more reliable, less prone to breakdown, easier to insure. And all they did was they replaced the diesel motor out the back of the factory with an electric one. But it was still the same central drive shaft with different belts and pulleys off the drive shaft to run different machines. But if you look now at a modern factory, like electrical motors are small, medium and large, and they've been put exactly in place where they need to be. And there's a lot more flexibility and automation in the factory, and it doesn't have the constraint of a central drive shaft, because after a while people understand, hang on, the way to really maximise this technology is we have to rethink our whole business model around what is possible now. And then that's where we're at with AI. Some people are going, I write blogs, I could replace that with AI. Yes, of course. But if you think about what could AI do if you built from an AI first principles around your whole business, just as the whole industrial revolution got transformed with electricity, you do the same thing. So I think you should think AI first and recraft every facet of your business rather than look sporadically.
And as a final question, as a founder, you started in 2005. I can imagine that you've gone through many ups and downs in that period. And if you were to put it, I know for me, I could probably say it's probably 100 plus, different different times of different periods which were under pressure and all that sort of stuff. For you, what is the difference between, and for yourself, the resilience in your own mindset in building the business and what you see as to, let's say, others that may not have made it? What is that difference? What is the big difference that you see in the founder that does actually come through versus the ones that may not quite make it?
I think a lot of it has to do with why are you actually doing it? Why are you getting out of bed every day, especially when it's difficult or you've had setbacks? So you have to have a genuine passion and belief in what you're doing is actually having a good impact and it's actually beneficial to people and it's got good value in it.
Yeah.
Because without that, I think anything else is like a bit more artificial, right? If you say, I'm just going to work hard for 3 years and it's all get it to this stage and then I'll sell it, you're driven by a set of financial forecasts and attributes, but you're not.
Sometimes I find like people just kick off a business because they think, being in a startup sounds really cool. And I've literally seen people give up their business just to go back to a higher paying job.
Yes. Yeah, that's the other thing I think. For me, I started Ansarada. I was technically broke on paper, bankrupt, and because I had a previous failed business with a friend. And I just thought, I'm not going to, I don't want to declare myself bankrupt. There must be a way to fix this and earn my way out and pay people back and cover my debts. And then I also had a 2-year-old daughter, and then so when I got started with Ansarada, I remember saying to my wife, I said, look, I have to do this because it's what I want to do, but like if it doesn't work, you could be living out of a car. But like that
what a pep talk.
That situation made me you had to do it or die.
Yeah.
So it's like, you will see me do this or you will see me dead from trying. And so I didn't have this, I'll give it my best shot, but if it doesn't work out in a year, I can go back to this job. Because I think, my opinion, human psychology, feelings, commitment, if you give your brain like a little out at all, you'll probably take it at some point.
Yeah.
Like I was watching that Survivor show on Netflix where they drop people in the wilderness and they got to last as long as possible. And that there's at some point, most of them start saying, look, I've done good and I miss my family, and they lose that sight to be the winner and get to the end. And nothing they're saying is bad. And they might not leave straight away when they say that, but as soon as they give themselves an out, and it's like within a week or a few days later, they're out. Like, I don't think you can blink.
Yeah. Well, Sam, I want to say thank you so much for your time. I was, as you know, I'm super happy for you with your deals that have been part of the, that have known of you. I think our first meeting goes back to 2009, I think it was. Yep. And so to watch one of the good guys win, like you have, I'm super excited to see what you do next and really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Steve, and thank you for all your work you do with companies and investors, and you genuinely care about helping them and simplifying things for them, connecting them to capital, getting rid of the bullshit processes and even some of the, practices in the industry that serve individuals but don't serve the company, and they're not in the best interest of the investor. And your commitment to innovation and your team and all of that, it's really commendable. Always inspired me. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks.